Welcome to Little League Southeast Park in Warner Robins, Georgia, as we continue coverage of the Little League World Series Southeast Regional. Fort Hunt Little League out of Virginia is here to take on Peachtree City National Little League representing Georgia. And we welcome you inside the booth, everybody, as you look at the field in Goodlettsville, Tennessee, victorious early on, taking care of Alabama. Tennessee victorious. Will stay in the winner's bracket as we continue our first round of play. And now we'll welcome you inside the booth. Drew Felios alongside the former big league catcher Mike LaValliere. Saw a very good first game in this Southeast Regional, but Mike, you have a feeling that this Virginia-Georgia's matchup could be the best one today.
Well, all the talk is about, what kind of fireworks that we're going to see in this ball game. Both of these teams have a lot of power. For Virginia, Ryan Conmey, he bats third. We're going to see him on the mound. Power arm on the mound. He throws in the upper 60s. When he's at the plate, he does some severe damage.
All right, for Virginia, Mr. Conmey, a power plus guy, does everything. Conmey, a guy that can get it done. They'll rely on him big time today.
And for Georgia, we got Jace Blaylock. Jace bats third. He's their first baseman. He actually has been in home run hitting contests that he's hit the ball out of high school fields. Not 225 feet we have here, 325 feet. Easily does it. If we see him on the mound, he throws gas. He's in the upper 70s.
Already seen one big home run today. That could certainly change after this matchup. It's Georgia and Virginia coming up next from Warner Robins. So Virginia set to take on Georgia. Second game of the day here on this first day of competition and the Little League Southeast Regional. Georgia will be wearing the all-white, and Virginia will wear the green tops and white pants. There you see the fans of Georgia as they're here cheering on the team that will be sort of the home team as we continue play throughout the next week. Trey King will get the call today for Georgia.
Well, Trey King, right-hander, throws the ball in the upper 60s, but really relies on his location to be effective. He'll throw a curveball, he'll throw a changeup, but whenever he's looking for a punch-out, he's going to look for that number one and try to locate it and put it exactly where he wants it for the strikeouts.
And he'll be dealing to a very tough Virginia lineup led by Sammy Doris for Virginia. Doris, all-around athlete. Actually, basketball is his first love, but loves his baseball as well, of course. Gupton, Comney, Nick Castrilli, DeWitt, Brody Shawn, Garrett Quimby, Drew Norton, and Kyle Pills, the center fielder in the 9-hole. So both of these teams with similar athleticism. Georgia team's got some really good-looking athletes, kids that can fly, kids with tremendous arms. Mike, we saw these guys in warm-ups. They were throwing balls from the warning track all the way to home plate. Really impressive.
Yeah, I tell you what, I think both of these teams, when you look at their infield practice, you get a pretty good idea of kind of what they're all about. And, both of these teams were very impressive. You would talk about the power. Virginia team, in their state tournament, they hit 13 home runs. So they've got power 1 through 9. They got power on the bench. I think both of these pitchers are going to be under attack. They're going to have to hit spots. They're going to have to mix in their off-speed pitches because both of them, I tell you, they make mistakes, they're liable to pay big.
So Sammy Doris leads it off for Virginia. Sammy Doris, son of Dale Doris, assistant coach for this Virginia team, fouls his first pitch away. Also want to keep in mind that Georgia, a bit of a different spot as the rest of the teams in this field. They just finished their state tournament on Tuesday because of weather that has just pounded this state over the past week. Georgia, their play was postponed, and that's going to have an effect on Georgia's pitching here throughout the next few days.
Yeah, it really does. They've got some guys that are going to have to shuffle in. They've got some guys that won't be eligible to throw until tomorrow or even Monday. So it's something that they feel that they're deep enough. So they're just there's nothing you can do about it. Can't play when it's raining.
Trey King puts that one away, and there's one out. Let's take a look at the Georgia defense. Starting the outfield, Sully White. In left, Caleb Cost. And center field, P.J. Green is the right fielder. Alewine at third. Arrington at short. Gates at second. Jace Blaylock at first. And Simon Lewis is behind the plate. Jake Gupton now standing in for Virginia. Gupton is a speedster. This Virginia team built with pretty good speed up and down the lineup. Swing and a miss for strike one. It's 1-1.
You know, it was when we were talking to the coaches earlier yesterday, it was almost like they were carbon copies of each of the teams. They talked about the athleticism. They talked about, you know, all the power throughout the lineups. And whenever I asked, you know, what do you think is the strengths of your team? And both of them, offense was number one. And there was no hesitation whatsoever. It wasn't like, well, we're kind of good at this. No, we pound the ball.
Foul back, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Upton, one of those players, just unfazed by adversity, very focused. He really keeps this Virginia lineup on point. Swings at this one, puts it into right field. Gates drifting back to make the catch, and there's 2 down. So Doors and Gupton retired. And now that'll bring Ryan Conmee to the plate, the player that we talked about in the open.
The batter is a pitcher number 36, Ryan Conmee.
Conmee, an interesting story for Virginia. As he takes strike one. Conmee, talk about Doors and his love of basketball. Conmee loves hockey. Mike, we know that's another love of yours, probably second to this great game of baseball as well. But Conmee is so good that he is moving to New York this fall, and he's going to play in the system for the Buffalo Sabres.
Wow, that's amazing. And, you know, again, I grew up in New England, so hockey was a big deal up there. Not so much in Virginia. But, you know, times change, and I just hope he's got a good dentist.
2-1 now to Conmee. But it's funny, if you watch the swing of Ryan Conmee, his coaches say that it kind of looks like sort of a slap shot in hockey. There it is, wow. And he fouls this one off.
Well, you can see where the power comes from, and it's about bat speed. And Conmee right there was just a little bit behind. You can see where he gets all that power from. He connects with that ball, and it's easily way up onto the hill, whether it be left, center, or right. I think we have a couple of guys have a chance to hit the scoreboard in left center field in this ballgame.
Two-two pitch to Ryan Conmee, and this one misses.
So we'll have to, you know, make sure that our center field camera guys, okay, guys, to, you know, get a net, get a glove, because you're liable to get some action out there tonight.
Big swing and a miss. 15 pitches for Trey King. He gets Conmee swinging. So Georgia gets out. Good start for Peachtree City. They'll come up when we come back. Good start for Georgia. Now the first at-bat for Peachtree City, and they're going to have to deal with Ryan Conmee getting the call for Virginia here today.
Yeah, Ryan, the big right-hander, throws the ball in the upper 60s. Good curveball, good changeup. But whenever it comes down to it, you know, he's going to have to use his fastball. That's his out pitch. But that breaking ball could be a very good pitch for him. If he shows enough strikes with that, it just makes that fastball look that much quicker.
There's the lineup for Georgia. Garrett Arrington. He's got tons of speed. He'll lead it off. 1, 2, and 3. As good as it gets in this tournament for Georgia. Trey King, home run power. Blaylock has it as well. Alewine in that cleanup spot is tough to deal with. So here's Garrett Arrington starting things off for Peachtree City National Little League. That's strike one. Used to seeing Peachtree City American Little League over the past few years representing Georgia. So this Peachtree City national team trying to punch their ticket to Williamsport. Taking one high and tight for ball one. Swing and a miss. Strike two. In this neck of the woods, of course, the Atlanta Braves going to be the most popular team. There's so many of these young men. 1-2 to Garrett Arrington.
Yeah, we've got the Braves with Peachtree City, and a lot of Washington National fans from this Virginia team located in Alexandria, Virginia, just outside of D.C. So I'm sure there are a lot of Bryce Harper fans out there.
2-2. This one misses high and tight. So 3-2 the count to Garrett Arrington. Georgia would love to get him aboard. He is certainly a threat on the base pass. Not going to happen, though. Swing and a miss for strike three. Let's take a look at the defense for Virginia. Starting the outfield, Garrett Quimby, Kyle Pills, and Brody Shawn in right. Nathan DeWitt, the third baseman, Jake Gupton at short. Doris at second with Norton at first, and Nick Castrilli behind the plate. Trey King takes one on the outside part of the plate for ball one.
And Conmee has a little different delivery. Kind of goes a little bit towards first base on his recoil. Has a tendency to get a little bit underneath the ball, and it'll tail into the right-handers. If the Peachtree City team can be patient, they may be able to wear him down a little bit and get that pitch count up. Even though it was a strikeout on that first hitter, Garrett Arrington at least saw 6 pitches. So there's something that could very well play big into this ballgame.
Trey King's going to trot down to first. Ball nicked him that time. So now Jace Blaylock going to come to the plate with one out. Just look at this guy. This is a guy you just do not want to face. Tremendous power in the 3-hole. Oh, hit him that time in the head. He'll trot down to first, so that's 2 straight batters struck. And now runners on first and second with one out.
Yeah, that's just what I was talking about. You see Conmee falling off. That one right there, good golly, nice. That's why we wear helmets, and that's why they continue to improve the safety for these young players. You're taking a 68-mile-an-hour fastball right off of that helmet, and I tell you, it's got all your attention. But yeah, I was just talking about how Conmee kind of falls off to the first base side of things, and that has a tendency to let that elbow drop down and lose that ball underneath you.
Put in play by the second baseman, Doris. Here comes the runner at third, and it's 1-0 Georgia. This one gets away. Blaylock's going to try for home. He's in there safely. Virginia having trouble handling the baseball here in the first inning. As now a runner on third base, 2-0 with one out.
Sometimes it's just not the great plays that win you or lose your ball games. It's the routine plays. And here a little two-hopper. Doris, looked like he was trying to throw that ball before it went into his glove. And from there, everybody was trying to make up for it, and they started tossing the ball all around. And that's uncharacteristic. This Virginia team is really a throwback team, and a team that really prides itself on its defense. And there they get a little bit too excited.
So Ryan Comney will try and settle down here for Virginia. Aaron Gates is the batter for Georgia. Strike delivered. Aaron Gates loves the Golden State Warriors. And he takes another strike. It's 1-2. Another one gets by him, so that's a big at-bat for Comney to retire. Gates will go to the dugout, and now Caleb Cost will come to the plate with 2 outs.
Well, that breaking ball on that previous pitch sets this one up, and good high fastball, just a little bit too high. No chance at all for Gates to catch up to that one, and Kami, really kind of taking matters in his own hands. Say, look, I'll settle this down. Let me go ahead and get this punch out, see if I can get us in here with only 2 runs.
So with 2 outs, here's Caleb Cost. Ryan Comney battling in the first here for Virginia. Cost takes a big swing, and you watch Caleb Cost get around on the baseball. Visions of the great Andre Dawson, Mike LaValliere, come to mind. This is the nephew of one of the greats in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to play against Hawk, and I tell you, as an intimidating batter you ever want to see come into the plate, wow, just an absolute outstanding player, outstanding person, and you see that young Mr. Cost. I think he's got some of the same actions right there. After seeing those hands and that bat speed, that's outstanding.
That swing looks awfully familiar, doesn't it?
Yeah. You want to talk about bat speed? At one point, Andre Dawson, and we're playing it when we were with the Cubs, he hit a ball over the third base dugout. He's a right-handed hitter now, so he pulled this ball. It was a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. Our poor pitcher didn't make it out of the inning. That's what the Hawks do to you.
Early 3-0 lead for Georgia. Here's Sully White. Big swing there. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
That was kind of fun for us yesterday. Jeff White, one of the coaches, came in with a video. It was 2 years ago when his young son, Jeff, hit a home run, and we got to see the replay and call it. It was a fun time.
So damage done in the first. Georgia puts a 3 spot on the board. Virginia will try and come up to get their bats going when we return. Welcome back to the Southeast Regional Championship for Little League Baseball, the division at a glance. 8 teams playing for the right to punch their ticket to Williamsport. Of course, this is a 6-inning game, mandatory, that everybody plays. Lots of challenges put on the managers of these clubs to make sure everybody gets into the ball game. Also, be watching pitch counts as well as we play on here for the chance to go to Williamsport. So Virginia, see how they deal with some early adversity. Nick Castrilli leads things off for Fort Hunt Little League here in the second. Takes one low, and it'll be 2 balls and no strikes. Castrilli, one of the leaders of this team, nicknamed the Tank. Hit hard to the shortstop, Arrington. Good glove on it, makes the throw, and a good stab by Jace Blaylock for the first out.
That's some leather being thrown out there after that one. Garrett Arrington just does a nice job, gets a hold of it, collects himself to throw a little bit low, but look at the big fella at first base. Jace Blaylock with the vacuum cleaner over at first. Look at him pick it. I tell you, that's that right there. You know, the whole play is just absolutely fabulous because it was so well executed. One little mistake, the other guy picks him up.
This Georgia defense, impressive. Aaron Gates takes care of the second out. So Trey King cruising so far for Georgia. You can get off to a good start, keep your pitch count down, let your defense work a little bit. You are going to be in great shape. As now Brody Sean comes to the plate.
Yeah, it's important for every one of these teams, but especially so for Georgia. And we mentioned earlier with the weather issues that they had up in the Atlanta area with all the rain and postponements, games being pushed back 2 and 3 days. They just finished their tournament on Tuesday. Here we are starting on Friday. This is a team that really is just a little bit of bad luck as far as, coming into it, not full strength, having all their pitching in order. But, whenever it comes down to it, one guy doesn't win the tournament. Two pitchers don't win the tournament. You're going to need 4, 5, even 6 guys. And if that happens, Trey King, that's a big part of this today.
Trey King cruising. Nobody has reached base for Virginia. Georgia with a 3-0 lead. Welcome back to the Little League Southeast Regional. The Little League Grow the Game Grant Initiative has distributed over $2 million at the local level. Grant funding provides local Little Leagues resources for general improvement and to expand or establish softball, challenger divisions, and urban initiative programs. For more information, visit littleleague.org/grow the game.
The batter is a catcher number 11, Simon Lewis.
Bottom of the order for Georgia, Simon Lewis, the first to stand in. Georgia off to a near perfect start. Put up 3 runs in their first at-bat. And their pitcher, Trey King, cruising through 2. Lewis takes a strike. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Yeah, one thing to keep in mind is kind of like a big prize fight in boxing, where you have puncher's chance. We saw it earlier in our first game. Team kind of cruising, up a couple runs, all of a sudden, boom, 3-run bomb, new game. Yeah, this is a team from Virginia that has that very chance of doing the same thing. They get a couple runners on, one swing of the bat, boom, they're right back in it. So, at this point, Virginia, they've got to just keep things as is. Don't let Georgia throw or put up another run on the board, and hopefully they'll get that chance to unleash that power.
Really saw the maturity of Tennessee in that first game. They didn't start well, but they didn't panic. And able to limit every single threat for Alabama, keep that score at only 2-0 before getting their chance. Carson Rucker coming through with that 3-run bomb. This ball misses low, and it'll be 3 balls, 2 strikes. Simon Lewis trying to get on for Georgia. Lewis takes a cut, and it's right back to the pitcher. Comedy will take care of it for the first down. It's funny, Mike, you look out to the right field berm in the outfield, and you see some of those players from Alabama out there having some fun. They don't get the win in the opening game, but they played great. And, hey, always got to keep the spirits positive and look forward to tomorrow.
Well, you know what? There's nothing he can do about the game after it's over, win or lose. And you see the guys up there. You see a lot of camaraderie with the team. They're up there. They've got a tennis ball. They're sliding. They're trying to take each other out. You never would have known, less than an hour ago that, they played in a real tough game against a real tough team. And now they're up there enjoying themselves. I mean, to me, this is what youth sports is all about. Go out there, do your best on the field, but you know what? Remember, you're a kid. Go out there and be a kid. Have some fun.
Can't get over those burns in the outfield, too, and have not had a chance to try and walk up those things a few times, I guarantee. Take some wind out of you, Spanky.
We'll never know.
Sammy Davis takes care of it. P.J. Green retired for Georgia. And that would be such a great fitness regimen to go into the outfield and to run up and down those a few times. That would really test your stamina.
Well, Drew, why don't you do that and let me know, because it's not part of my program. I'm more like the bowling ball that's going to roll down the hill, except we need to make sure that the fence is going to be okay.
Ryan Conmee gets his first visit. As Virginia will huddle up here. 2 down. Here, take a look at Ryan Danbury, the manager for Georgia. Coach Danbury, just a great story. Part of the reserve unit for the United States Air Force. And interesting because he does not have a son on this team for Georgia. Simply does it because he loves the game. And already we have got a new pitcher in the game for Virginia. So the Virginia coaches wanting to save the pitches, obviously, of their starter. Ryan Comney, and it is going to be number 4 getting the call for Virginia. And he is Jake Gupton.
Virginia, now pitching number 4.
Well, Jake Gupton, one of those guys that we're going to see over the course of the week that's not going to light up the radar gun. You know, he's a guy that's going to throw in the low 60s. If he's throwing real well, it'll be somewhere, 63, 64 miles an hour. Throws a curveball. He's got a really, really good circle changeup. It comes in. He's got great motion with it. It looks like a fastball, but before you know it, it just doesn't get there. Gets a lot of swings and misses with it.
Meanwhile, Conway threw 35 pitches for Virginia, so that is just under that 36 range, means he's going to have 1 day of rest. So you look at the coaching staff, that's a great job of managing his production here early.
Well, again, you've got to be able to look at things and think, all right, what's going to give me the best chance for my team to get to the final game? And they've chosen, Chuck Gupton has chosen, is, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and take the big fella, take him off the mound. I'm going to be able to go ahead and put him in there day after tomorrow, and that's something that could loom large by saving him today. Hopefully his son Jake Gupton can come in and shut the door and keep his team close.
Top of the order for Georgia, Garrett Arrington standing in. Missing inside, ball 4, so Arrington will be aboard here with 2 down. Georgia team last won this Southeastern Regional in 2011. In fact, they won it 3 years in a row, 2009 to 2011, 3 consecutive years. Big swing by Trey King. Second time through the order for Georgia. Georgia had a run that Tennessee is kind of enjoying right now. They won it 5 out of 6 years, from 2006 to 2011. Only Florida in 2008 was able to break up that dynasty.
Yeah, you've had 2 states that pretty much had a good stranglehold on. South Carolina broke through a couple years ago, here and there, but for the most part, you're looking at your teams from Georgia and Tennessee that come in here, and you have to put them as early favorites really every year.
Trey King takes ball 4. Now runners on first and second. So Jake Gupton gonna have to battle out of this one here. Nick Castrilli comes up to visit his pitcher. And Mike, you've been in situations like that when you're the catcher. What do you tell your pitcher when he's just come into the game, and obviously it's definitely a tough situation?
The obvious thing is throw strikes. But, that doesn't always work out like that. And really, there are times whenever you got to know your pitcher. If he's a real hyper kind of guy, you just trying to calm him down. If he's a low-key guy, you might want to try to pump him up.
Well, you got to be careful with this guy coming to the plate. Jace Blaylock. Some of the best home run power that we're going to see over the next week. He takes one low, and it'll be 1 ball and 1 strike.
Yeah, we didn't get a chance to see much power in that first at-bat. First pitch hit him right in the coconut.
And Blaylock took one right on the back of the head in the last inning.
And that's always scary. I don't care what level you are or how hard the guy's pitching. Anytime you get one right in the head, that's certainly scary.
Blaylock fouls one away. Now 2-2. You watch his swing. Coaches say he almost swings too hard at the ball. How can you swing too hard?
Well, what ends up happening is your mechanics get out of whack and you lose your bat control. Yes, you're swinging hard, but you're not able to make contact. And this is one of the things. This young man is so strong that and he's hit the ball so far that you're wanting to keep doing it. And if he was a little more under control, probably wouldn't have had that. Probably would hit more home runs It wouldn't be as far, but he'd hit more.
Bases now loaded for Georgia. Georgia can break this game open here with Bryce Aylwine coming to the plate.
The batter is at third baseman number 14, Bryce Aylwine.
Aylwine takes one on the inside corner. Georgia had to take down a tough Cartersville team a couple times to get here to Warner Robins. That competition has prepared them for the difficult field here. Key point in this game, bases loaded, second inning, 2 outs.
Ideally, whenever you have your relief pitchers come in, they come in, throw strikes, and keep the pitch count down. But right now, Jake Upton has loaded the bases with 3 walks. He's got to really bear down now. If he gets them out, well, nobody harmed. But that pitch count has gone way up.
1-2 pitch, just misses. It'll be 2-2.
I love to see the reactions of the crowds. You got one half of the crowd that says, "Oh yeah, that was a good pitch," and the other one said, "Hey, that was a strike." That's why you don't see me umpiring, Drew. You know, whatever call you make, half the people are going to be mad at you.
Here we go, Green.
And speaking of these guys, these are all volunteer guys. These are guys that really, they love it. They do this. They don't do this for a paycheck. They're here because they love the game. They love the institution of Little League Baseball. They want to be part of it. And I tell you what, the hats off that goes to them, because I tell you what, they take a lot of pride in their job.
Doing a great job here today. 2-2, jammed him just a little bit. Upton's going to come off the bag and make the play. So Virginia avoids any further damage. Georgia sitting on a 3-0 lead as we end 2 in Warner Robins at the Little League Southeastern Regional. Well, here we get a broad scope of the regional pool on the road to Williamsport in the Little League World Series. The Southeastern Regional made up of Alabama, Tennessee, West Virginia, Virginia, North and South Carolina, Georgia, and then, of course, there's Florida. The Sunshine State has made more trips to Williamsport than any other team in the Southeastern region. But Georgia, team considered the home team here in Warner Robins, with a 3-0 lead as we begin the third. Trey King deals, and another good play by Aaron Gates at second base. He is showing signs of a Gold Glover there so far. He's made 3 great plays.
Yeah, and that's the one thing about your interior defense. And I always want, just make all the routine plays. Aaron Gates, nice job. And, probably the best thing for Georgia fans, 1 pitch, 1 out. That's something that, so is going to be so important. And Trey King, at this point, you got to gain confidence. Just keep throwing the ball over the plate.
That is rocket shotted into right field, and it is going to drift foul. So it does clear the fence, but just a few feet shy from that left side of that right field foul pole. Mike, that was very close.
Well, you look at number 8 in the lineup, and you see in the power that Virginia has, that ball plenty distance, just a little bit foul.
And he straightens this one out right back up the middle for a base hit. So first base runner for Virginia as Drew Norton is aboard here to start the third.
One thing to keep in mind, and we may see this, we saw Norton here with that base hit up the middle and hustling down to first base. I think they've gotten the scouting report. Caleb Cost will charge the ball and throw somebody out at first base. He's done it before, and it wasn't even close. And some of the coaches just looked at each other and went, wow.
We have a special pinch runner for number 8, Drew Norton.
So pinch runner will come into the game for Virginia. Joseph Humphreys has his number called.
The batter is the center fielder, number 1, Kyle
And now
Piltz.
Kyle Piltz will step into the box for Virginia. Piltz playing center field here today. Tremendous on defense and offensively. Scored the winning run at the state championship to get here to the Southeastern Regional. Big swing and a miss for strike one there. Virginia team, they pride themselves on good old-fashioned baseball. The coaches say this team has played extremely loose on the road here to Warner Robins. Not much really rattles these guys because they are a very tight bunch. Great friends, hang out together off the field. Now 2 balls, 2 strikes to Kyle Piltz. First minor sign of adversity for Trey King. King's pitch is lined to the left field for another base hit. So with 1 out, Virginia threatening runners on first and second base.
Nice job. Piltz gets a pitch middle in, just laces that ball in the left field. And to me, 7, 8, 9 hitters in your lineup, they produce. It gives your team a chance to score a bunch of runs because now you turn the lineup over. Typically, your best hitters are your top 4 guys. Now you've got the leadoff guy up there. You've got 2 ducks on the pond. Again, another base hit, and then a blast, and before you know it, you got a completely new game.
Top of the lineup here, Sammy Doris. How often do you see that too, Mike? That's encouraging in Little League Baseball. You see the top guys in the order, everybody retired. 7, 8, 9 guys come through. That rarely happens.
Well, the one thing to keep in mind here, with these all-star teams, they're batting 7, 8, 9 because you can only put 1 guy up there at a time. These are kids that are used to being second, third, and fourth in their lineups. Here, it just happens to be where the best fit is. You put them, 7, 8, 9, and again, you've got a number 3 hitter up there almost all the time.
Ball gets away there. Runners advance to second and third. So Trey King's going to really have to dig in here. His 35th pitch coming up. And this one misses, so the bases will be loaded for Virginia. And now Jake Upton coming up to bat. That 3rd and 4th inning so critical in all of these games, as King will get a visit now from one of the Georgia assistant coaches.
Typically, that is one of the things that happen is it's the second time around. The first time you've seen the pitcher, you're a little undecided. You're not sure exactly what they have. You can look at all kinds of charts. You can look at all kinds of video. You can look at all kinds of, until you step in that box and actually see it, you're really not sure of what kind of fastball it is. Does he hide it? Is it something that you can see real well? And now the second time around, that's whenever pitchers come into trouble, because now they stop trusting themselves, and now they get to the point where, gee, I might have to try something else.
Upton watches the strike.
I like to tell him, look, there's only one Thomas Edison. You don't need to start inventing stuff.
Swing and a miss, strike 2. Ryan Comedy will be on deck for this Fort Hunt Little League. Brought a good contingency of fans to Warner Robins. These fans have been into it since the opening pitch. Take one outside for ball 1. 1 and 2.
You can just feel it through the Virginia fans, like you mentioned. A nice contingent here. Really both of these teams well represented, but Virginia, you can just see it. So they need something good to happen right here.
Upton watches it outside. The big pitch going to be coming up. Full count, 3 and 2, bases loaded. Trey King needs a big pitch, and he got it. Third strikeout for Trey King, and there's 2 away.
That was huge. Fastball located extremely well. Ball down, away. Good pitcher's pitch.
So now Ryan Comedy comes to the plate. And this will be a huge at-bat. Comney started the game on the mound for Virginia. See if the hockey player can come through here for his team.
Boy, he swings hard. Yeah, this is what I really enjoy, is a young man that has some abilities, and you know what? He's just not up there to just make contact. He's up there to do some damage. Once you get to 2 strikes, okay, try to cut it down. But right now, hey, get your team 4 quick ones.
2-1 the count. King winds up and delivers again. Strike 2, 2-2. .46 pitch coming up for Trey King. Swing and a miss for strike 3. Virginia strands 3. Trey King gets his team out of a jam. 3-0 Georgia. The home team playing well here in Warner Robins. Back in Warner Robins, Peachtree City, Georgia with a 3-0 lead over Virginia. Drew Felios alongside Mike LaValliere, and a big moment in that last inning is Georgia able to keep Virginia off the scoreboard, and now a pitching change for Virginia. You get a look at the new pitcher, Brody Shawn, the big right-hander.
Yeah, Brody, probably the best fastball on the team, touches 70 miles an hour. He's a fastball, split-finger fastball pitcher. That's one of the ways of changing speeds on that fastball, and pretty much a power guy. He's going to come at you with the heater, get ahead, try to knock you out with that splitter.
Batting for Georgia, 0-0, second baseman
Aaron Gates will lead things off for Georgia. So Shawn will be the 3rd pitcher for Virginia. And several defensive changes made for Virginia. Conley now is at 3rd base. DeWitt is at 1st, and Marcucci now moves to right. Another tough start for Brody Shawn. I think for Virginia, if there's one thing that they can look at in this game, it always seems like their pitchers have been battling from behind. They have not been able to really take command up there, and Georgia has been in control from the start.
And the biggest part of that is just the bases on balls. That's something that when you have 2 teams of equal ability, a lot of times it comes down to free passes at the plate and errors in the field. Both of them can hit. They both hit with power, but like I said, a lot of times, just those little things, you got to try to keep the other team to 3 outs an inning. You start giving them 4, and you start getting them 5. That's what ends up happening is you're giving up runs.
This one will get away. Aaron Gates advances to 2nd. So Georgia with good speed on the base pass. Guys like Gates and Cost and Garrett Arrington, the leadoff hitter. Caleb Cost watches one outside. Georgia taken all the way right now. It's 3-0. Nick Castrilli behind the plate for Virginia. That'll be another walk as Georgia's got runners now on 1st and 2nd with nobody out. And Brody Shawn will get a quick visit out of the dugout.
This is basically as a coach, what you're trying to do out there is simplify things. As a younger player, the game has a tendency to go a little bit too fast for you. You start thinking ahead too much, and then before you know it, you've lost control of things. As a coach, your whole thing is about going out there and again slowing it down, and he's certainly slowing it down. He's going to make a pitching change.
So only 8 pitches thrown for Brody Shawn. He'll head into right field. And Nate DeWitt will come to the mound for Virginia. We'll introduce you to him when we return to Warner Robins. Nate DeWitt will be the fourth pitcher of the game for Virginia. Here's his byline. Favorite athlete, Kirk Cousins. So not the position that Virginia wanted to be in the third inning, going to their fourth pitcher and shuffling their defense, it seems like, Mike, continuously here.
Well, right now they're just doing everything they can do and trying to survive through this. The wildness has really got them in trouble, and the Peachtree offense is certainly taking advantage. It just, if they're not going to throw strikes, keep the bat on your shoulder, take what they give you, and again, good base running, ball in the dirt, take the extra base.
Logan Howard, the batter. Howard gets a big swing on that one, fouls it to the right side. Tell you what, Logan Howard and me have something in common. Logan Howard loves to drink Mountain Dew Kickstarters, Mike LaValliere. In fact, it's kind of a superstition for this Georgia team. When he has a good dose, this team wins. In fact, they've never lost when he has had his favorite drink before the game. The coaches have bought in. Coach Danbury, Coach Elwine, Coach White say we make sure he's got that drink before every contest.
Well, do what you got to do. Literally, do the do.
3-0 lead for Georgia. There's a big swing for Howard, and he is down the first out of the inning.
Well, that's a little bit more like it. Nathan DeWitt climbs the ladder, fastball up over the belt. Again, it looks so good coming in, and by the time that you're offering at it, usually that ball's by you. You have to be so good with your hands. If you're going to swing at that ball, you got to think about your hands being above the ball. That's the only way you get to that.
So this part of the game, third and fourth inning, we're going to see several substitutions. The reason is the rule for mandatory play. Every guy has got to come off the bench at some point, Mike, and it's a big challenge for these managers to make sure everybody gets in.
Well, in this game, both of these teams have 13 or 14 players, so all they need to do is hit once. So that's what these coaches are doing, and really, to me, your opportunity, you're up by 3 runs, okay? You've got a pretty good handle on things. Now's your time to get these guys at bats. And the thing is you're bringing up an all-star. You're bringing up a number 3, number 4 hitter during the regular season. So, a lot of these teams are not really losing out whenever they put in their substitutions. These guys are up there and they know what to do.
Joel Sanford now the pinch hitter. 1 ball, 2 strikes to him. Sanford, a big kid. 5'4", another good-looking swing. He's got runners on second and third here. He'll put it in play. The shortstop able to glove it, throw to first for the out. Run scores for Georgia. Their lead increases to 4-0.
A situation where outstanding coaching by the Peachtree offense. You saw the infielders, the shortstop, second baseman playing deep. If they were in, and trying to choke off that run, they would have been able to score right there. But again, Virginia coach trying to stay out of the big inning, chooses to keep his fielders back, and some of that is just thinking that they've got explosive offense. They think that, maybe 4 isn't enough, but if they give up a big inning, then they're out of it.
Brings up P.J. Green now. You take a look at one of the Georgia coaches. In fact, that's the manager, Chuck Gupton, we just got to look at. There's Coach Gupton. He is the administrative guy, handles everything from a big picture. Next to him, Dale Doris, the baseball strategist on the staff. This is put in the air, and the catch going to be made in right field to retire Georgia. But Georgia able to get 1, and they lead 4-0 after 3 here in Warner Robins. Georgia off to a great start in their first round of play here at the Little League Southeastern Regional. 4-0 over Virginia. Drew Felios alongside Mike LaValliere, and the first pitching change of the afternoon for Georgia. Aaron Gates gets the ball.
Aaron, a little bit more of a finesse type pitcher. He's going to be somewhere in the low mid 60s. Throws a curveball and an outstanding changeup. The key to him is keeping the ball down and hitting his spots. He relies on some, again, on location and a little bit of movement on that fastball.
So Aaron Gates replaces Trey King. Georgia has been able to take advantage of Virginia, their inability so far to throw strikes. And Virginia's had some good chances to do some damage offensively. Had the bases loaded in the last inning before Trey King was able to come up with some really big pitches. Let's see if Virginia can keep some of that momentum going, though, as Nick Castrilli will be the first batter here in the fourth.
Trey King, now playing second base, number 8, Garrett Harrington.
Nick Castrilli was playing up in age over the past 3 years. So he's really become a leader on this Fort Hunt Little League team. First pitch to him's in the dirt.
Speaking from experience, once you're behind the plate, you're involved in every single pitch. And, it's almost a position where, leaders, you almost have to be. You can't be timid back there. You've got to be able to be a take charge kind of player. And that's one of the things. It'll make you grow up really quick.
Big swing there, and it is going to drop right along the right field line. Castrilli digs for second. He's got a leadoff double for Virginia.
Yeah, down 4 runs. You don't want to take any extra chances, but here Nick Castrilli hits the ball down the right field line, and what's really important about this, he doesn't lose sight of the ball. He runs with his head up. He sees the bobble and then takes the extra base. I'm a big proponent. Run with your head up. See where the ball is. Okay, once you find out where it is, then go ahead, pick up your coaches. But there's too many times I see runners run with their head down, don't see the bobble, don't take the extra base. It's being aware of what's going on the field.
First pinch hitter of the game for Virginia, Will Sharp, will stand in and he'll bat for Nate DeWitt.
Replacing number 35,
so this Georgia, rather this Virginia team, their coaches Chuck Upton, Dale Doris, and Tony Castrilli, they stressed to us yesterday how they thought their depth was as good as any team in this tournament, 1-14. Bunt laid down here. This is going to be a tough play. Over to first, and they make it. That is a great job by Aaron Gates to get over there, make a tough throw, and a good sacrifice job by Sharp to get it done for Virginia.
Great all-around execution, fabulous bunt. Gates right off, just turns, fires. Garrett Arrington over at first base, a little quick step, gets there, boom, smooth as silk. I tell you what, that's a well-coached defensive team.
Mike, that was a play that growing up when I played, and I'm sure guys that you played with as well, pitchers, you're going one way, you got to barehand it. Guys racing down the line, you got to make a tough throw. That's about as good as I've seen a 12-year-old make that play.
Oh, there's some big league pitchers that I've seen that can't make that play, and they can do some other things. But boy, I tell you what, that was actually, it was picture perfect from all rounds of that. The batter with a perfect bunt.
Base hit up the middle, and Virginia is on the board. Bennett Zippel, the pinch hitter for Virginia. RBI base hit here in the fourth, and finally, Virginia able to breathe a sigh of relief.
Well, there you go. Little lightning coming off the bench. Coaches Gupton and Castrilli and Doris, they talked about it yesterday. They're strong, all the way through. They're guys that come off the bench. They said they're hitting about 500. So, yeah, no surprise to this reporter.
So Virginia going to their bench, calling on some pinch hitting, and it comes through in the fourth inning. And this will be the third pinch hitter in a row, Michael Lavanga. He'll stick his bat out there, get a piece. They get one at second. Over to first. Not in time. Still a good job by that Georgia infield to turn it. And now there's 2 outs.
Yeah, pretty slick right there. You see this ball down to third base. Not quite hit hard enough, but a good turn at second base. Just a little bit wild at first base. But again, this Peachtree defense, again, throwing that leather out there. Fun to watch.
Number 6, Antonio Marcucci.
Antonio Marcucci now. That ball doesn't get up, goes to the backstop. And how about Virginia with the threat here in the fourth? Lavanga goes over to second base. Virginia can somehow find a way to get this run in. They are right in this game with Georgia. 4th pinch hitter in a row, Antonio Marcucci. Big swing and a strike 1. Ninth pitch for Aaron Gates. Roberto Clemente, one of the all-time greats. On the way. So 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Being a Pittsburgher for 6 years with the Pirates, Clemente, one of the most revered of all Pirates in history. I think everybody, in Pittsburgh, it's, if you weren't a Clemente fan, then there was something wrong.
So cool to see a guy this young. Obviously, never watched him play. Says he's my favorite guy. Love it when the youngsters show the appreciation for the old school guys that they never saw play. I love that.
Well, it's just Clemente did so many good things. Ended up losing his life in a plane crash, trying to bring relief packages to a country in Nicaragua that was, got through an earthquake. So, wow,
unbelievable story. Georgia trying to make themselves a great story, leading 4-1 through 3.5.
It makes it more fun. You get to interact with your friends more, and it's not as intense as some of these other sports. The biggest thing for me is just don't force it on the kids. Let it come to them, and that's how I got into it. I've loved it ever since, and I'm living the absolute best life I could ever think of, and baseball's the only reason why I am.
Chris Bryant, one of the young stars in Major League Baseball. Georgia on top of Virginia here in the bottom of the 4th. And Warner Robbins, Drew Felios, Mike LaValliere, and our great crew bringing it to you. And Mike, you watch Chris Bryant? Some old memories come to mind? How so?
Well, let's talk about small world. In Summer League Baseball, when I was in college, I stayed at Chris Bryant's grandparents' house in Acton, Massachusetts, played a little summer ball down there, and they were so gracious to host me. I was roommates with Chris's dad, Mike Bryant, at the University of Lowell. So, obviously happy to see the young man doing incredibly well.
Oh, good stuff. This one misses just high. It's amazing, too, how small the baseball world is, isn't it?
Yeah, and Chris's dad was absolutely great baseball player, tremendous tools, and he just did a fine job raising Chris. I've met Chris before. Just a great young man, does a lot of great things for the Cubs, very unselfish, and quite a talent.
Nathan DeWitt delivers a strike on the outside part of the plate. Garrett Arrington strikes out here as we start the bottom of the 4th.
And take a look in this pitch. And running the inside, the catcher Castrilli was on the inside corner, but he does a nice job of keeping that ball in the strike zone. And that's where I call a lot of people like to call it framing. Not a big, huge fan, but I also like the idea of being able to keep the ball in the strike zone.
How about a stab at third base by Comney? Talk about his love for hockey. That's like a hockey goalie. Stab at third, keeps that ball in the infield and rifles it to first for the second out.
What's so impressive about this is, number one, he gets to the ball, but he collects himself and makes a good, strong throw right on the money at first base.
Brings up Jace Blaylock. Blaylock's bat has been quiet here today. Took one in the head in his first at-bat and walked in his last one. He's eaten a lot of pasta over the years. The 0-2 and struck him out. So 1-2-3. Nate DeWitt does his job for Virginia. But the Mean Green Machine, they got to wake those bats up. 3 runs to make up through 4 here in Warner Robins. Okay. Welcome back to Warner Robins. Day 1 of the Southeastern Regional continues. 1 game in the books. Tennessee over Alabama, the defending champion. Goodlettsville, Tennessee playing well. They get a 6-2 victory. And Georgia leads Virginia 4-1. Just have a feeling, though, that these Virginia bats are going to wake up eventually as we begin the 5th inning. And tell you what, great job by this crowd from Fort Hunt Little League in Virginia. They have been cheering the entire way, and it's been some tough moments in this game for Virginia, but the crowd has kept them in it, coming all the way from Alexandria. So Virginia will shuffle their lineup just a little bit, and it'll be the first at-bat for Joseph Humphreys. He comes off the bench here in the 5th. Aaron Gates still the pitcher for Georgia. There's a good strike right down the pipe. It's 0-2. Aaron Gates only the 2nd pitcher for Georgia. Trey King started the game. And strike 3 makes quick work of the first Virginia hitter, and there's 1 away.
Yeah, no nonsense. Just 3 heaters. The last one, nice location, down and away. Looked like it was knee high, hit the catcher right there in the glove. That's great execution. And the thing to keep in mind as a pitcher, as a young pitcher, you don't have to overthrow the baseball. Hit your target, stay within yourself, and you're going to be so much more effective.
Some big pitches provided by Aaron Gates. Now he'll face Sammy Doris in the top of the Virginia order. Doris puts it into left field. There's a base hit. So Sammy Doris, son of Dale Doris, Virginia assistant coach, does his job, and that'll bring up Jake Upton.
Batter number 4, Jake Upton.
Jake Upton is a speedster, hopes to get on. Mike, we've talked so much about pitch counts throughout the day, and we'll continue to talk about them throughout the tournament. If you're a coach coaching these young men, as this one is in there for a strike, would you be concerned about curve counts, the amount of curveballs you're throwing? Do you try and limit those, or does it not matter with the pitch counts in place?
I think a big part of the curveball is learning how to throw it the right way. And if you learn how to throw it the right way mechanically, it's a pitch that can be safe. Do I advocate throwing a bunch of curveballs? No. As a young player, I want you to throw a bunch of fastballs, develop your arm, make it strong. If you learn how to throw it the right way, use it as an accent pitch, I've got no problem with that. But what I really like is, go ahead and throw that heater just like this one right there. Again, down and away, perfect location. It is so effective whenever you hit your spots.
Now that brings up Ryan Comney. So Comney made that great defensive play in the last inning for Virginia, trying to come through at the plate. Outside corner, and there's a strike, 1-1. 2 outs here in the 5th.
That Gates is absolutely pinpointing that outside pitch. A little Mike Maddox, if you want to say, the great pitcher for the Atlanta Braves, faced him. Not a lot of velocity, but it was almost like he threw every single pitch exactly where he wanted it.
Sammy Dorse now standing on second base. 2-2 after Conmee fouls it away. Talked about Conmee's hockey skills. Interesting that he is indeed moving to New York this fall to pursue his young hockey career. A great notch in the resume, though, to compete at the Southeast Regional with Fort Hunt Little League and Virginia. 2-2 pitch to Conmee. Got him swinging. So Virginia lets another opportunity go by the wayside. Running out of outs. Georgia comes up in the bottom of the fifth when we return. Well, Georgia, Peachtree City National Little League has led pretty much from the start. They got off to the good start. Bryce Alewine puts it in play. Virginia having some problems defensively. Jace Blaylock able to score. Georgia went on top 3-0 to start this game. Caleb Cost got an RBI single, the nephew of the great Andre Dawson. In the third inning, Virginia finally able to make little noise.
Yeah, and Trey King with the bases loaded, but what he does is he bears down, punches out the last two guys, and really Virginia just popped the air out of that bubble. It looked like they were having something going on, and again, Trey King with a couple of big punch-outs.
So Georgia with a 4-1 lead. Take a look at the two errors by Virginia. Those have been huge here so far.
Yeah, and what stands out to me is, the Caleb Cost, the one hit. I mean, that's the only hit that Georgia has gotten. Been on base with numerous walks, but they took advantage early of some miscues, and you can't swing the bats if they don't throw the ball in the zone. So, they are patient, but again, one hit.
Adam Walls now the pinch hitter for Georgia as Georgia continues to get everybody in at bat here. Meanwhile, this will be the 25th pitch for Nate DeWitt, fourth pitcher of the game for Virginia. Walls gets a good swing on it, and he puts it into right field for a base hit. Gotta be a great feeling to come off the bench and deliver for your team.
Well, and these kids here are used to success, and they're all-stars for a reason because they're very, very good players. It doesn't always work out that way. Baseball's very, very difficult. You fail 7 out of 10 times and end up in the Hall of Fame. So, that's something that, again, it's tough to be a bench player, come off the bench. But, again, these kids are used to having success.
That brings up Aaron Gates. Two 2-0 now to Gates. Virginia team, interesting what the coach has told us yesterday. We asked them point blank, do you guys expect to win this Southeast Regional? And they said, our expectations are not to win, but we feel like we can be in every single game. And who knows? Our kids believe, then we believe. They trail now 4-1, and Georgia looking to add to it. I think the biggest key, Mike, is every team, every coach that comes here, it is such a thrill to just represent your state here in Warner Robins.
Yeah, it really is. And you come here to this facility. I mean, this is just absolutely fabulous. There are a lot of colleges that wish they had, what we have here at Southeast Regional Park. It's just outstanding. The whole backdrop of having the hill out in the outfield, the great grandstand that surrounds the plate, and it's got to be a little intimidating to these players when they first see it. And that's where I look at the teams that have been here before. I think they've got a little bit of advantage because it's easy to be awestruck by this whole tournament and being part of it.
No, it certainly is. Such a great sight here in the Southeast region. Here's Caleb Koss now. Koss with that rocket shot to left field early on in this game to give Georgia a 3-0 lead. And in case you're just joining us, this is the nephew of the great Andre Dawson, the Hawk. Haven't had a chance to see his arm in center field, but should be able to as this tournament goes on. And he'll take one on the helmet that time, so the base is going to be loaded for Georgia.
Wow, this is twice that's happened in Peachtree. And here, Gidjai Ducks, and that's why these helmets are each and every year, they're checked. They're always trying to make these safer. Before these ball games, the umpires check the bats, they check the helmets, make sure there's no cracks in them. So, and that's for that very reason right there, is to protect these young players. I noticed that in spring training 2 years ago, they had some sort of helmet/hat for pitchers. And last week we saw one of the pitchers go down at the major league level, and it's sure scary. If I was a pitcher, I'd have a hard time not going out there with catching gear. Of course, I didn't have a 95-mile fastball, but give me as much protection as you possibly can. Maybe even goalie stuff.
Here's Garrett Martin. He'll be a pinch hitter for Georgia. Look at that nickname, too. G-Money. It's as good a nickname as we've heard here today. Martin's got a great opportunity. Bases are juiced. The infield for Virginia is in. Check swing on that one, and he did hold back for ball one. So right now, if you're Martin, the hitter, Mike, what are you thinking?
I'm looking for a pitch I can drive to the outfield. In this situation, as a hitter, you get very excited. You want to go up there. You want to get the hit. You want to drive in the runs. But you have to understand the pitcher is the one that's in trouble. He's got to come to you. He's got to be able to make his pitches. And if he makes a mistake, you got to be looking for it. And again, get something that you can handle to hit to the outfield. Infield's in, a ground ball to one of the infielders, and they're going to have a chance to get a play at the plate.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Garrett Martin showing some patience at the plate. Nate DeWitt winding up. This one's put in play. It's a tough ball, playing tricks on the infielders. 1 run scores. Here comes the second. And Georgia extends to a 6-1 lead. Credit a good piece of hitting for Garrett Martin.
Now you put the ball in play, good things happen. A big high hopper. Really not much of a chance. Once get over first baseman's head, second baseman Sammy Doris kind of went over there. Even if he fields this, I don't even know if there's going to be a play at first base. There was nobody there. Again, a little unlucky for the Virginia team on that particular ball.
Quick visit to the mound from Dale Doris, assistant coach for Virginia. Nate DeWitt will stay in the game. Now they will warm up a new pitcher. In fact, it's going to be Sammy Doris who is going to come into the game. So that was the last pitch that DeWitt would throw, and now Sammy Doris will get loose. So Doris will be pitcher number 5 for Virginia.
Yeah, and Sammy, again, much like Jake Upton that we saw earlier, guy that relies on his location. He's throwing his fastball in the low 60s. He throws a curveball and his out pitch, and he's looking for a punch out right here. His out pitch is that curveball.
Second base, number 35,
Nate DeWitt moves to second, and we'll have runners on the corners now for Georgia. So Georgia in the driver's seat. 6-1 lead here in the bottom of the 5th. They'll just have to hold Virginia in the top half of the 6th to advance into the winner's bracket. 2 more games a little bit later on today. Florida, West Virginia at 4. North and South Carolina will battle at 7 o'clock. Garrett Martin advances to second base. No play, no throw. We play
Now
on.
batting number 11, Simon Lewis.
Well, I have to give it the old defensive indifference. I can't give him a stolen base on that. Virginia was going to go ahead and let him go. So I could have padded my catching stats. Those the other guys were stealing base. We weren't going to throw. I wanted to tell the official score, but they didn't have indifference back there. That's a good curveball. Outstanding curveball from Doris.
So that's the first out of the inning. Simon Lewis heads to the dugout. Now P.J. Green comes to bat. Sammy Doris, the heart and soul of this Virginia team. This one's put in play. Comney comes up to glove it. Not in time, though, as he went home. And Georgia scores another at 7-1.
Doris does his very best. Ryan Comney was in there. Both of them had a chance. But again, once he hit the ground, Doris couldn't put enough on the throw. This is a base hit. There's really nothing you can do about it. You're not going to throw him out at first base once he's in that position. And good aggressive base running by Georgia.
Yeah, really a tough play to make. Good effort by Virginia. P.J. Green heads to second. Garrett Arrington, the hitter, top of the order for Peachtree City National. Georgia team looks very impressive here in round one. Hit into center field. Right at the center fielder, that's Piltz. He makes the play, and the tag up is on. Another run comes in. Georgia very opportunistic here in the fifth as Garrett Martin scores, and it's 8-1.
Yeah, good piece of hitting by Arrington. Got a pitch that he could drive to the outfield, get it out to center fielder just far enough. Piltz, nothing that he can do about it. Gets it in, and right now Georgia's making a rout of it.
Trey King now, the 2-hole for Georgia. He's got home run power. Bat has been just a little quiet today. Big swing there for strike two. Hit into left field, and it's going to drop. Another base hit. They're going to hold the runner at third. So runners on the corners now. Georgia continues to swing away with a 7-1 lead.
A good piece of hitting, Trey King. Didn't hit it hard, but one thing that I'm impressed with this Georgia ball club is, they get the ball in play. They haven't all been line drives, but they've put an incredible amount of pressure on this Virginia defense. Now it's Blaylock. Big stick in the lineup. Hits one to second. Tough play. And the ball gets away as it was bobbled by the shortstop. Another run for Georgia. P.J. Green scores. And Georgia right now in complete control. Yeah, you have to look at this where you get your team from Virginia that's, they're not used to, having these things happen to them. They've been solid all the way through, all the state play and just been outstanding. And it just, just one of those things as a coach, you see this happen, and it's really difficult. And what this has brought up now is now if Georgia scores 2 more runs, this game's over. So now you have the 10-run rule that may be in effect, and you got a big strong hitter up there that he hits the ball to the fence. This could be our last hitter. That hitter's Bryce Alewine. Runners on first and second. Alewine, changeup. Fools him there, 1-1. Georgia making a statement
here in this first game.
There's that good breaking ball I was talking about. And, for that pitch to be effective, Sammy Dorse, you got to be pitching ahead in the count. Once you can do that, it really opens up so many possibilities.
Little roller to the second baseman. He'll take care of it. Virginia will get out of the inning. But it's another big inning for Georgia. They get 5 more. It's 9-1. Virginia, last at-bat coming up. Well, the name of the game at this Little League Southeast Regional is pitching. So far, Georgia has been able to do it pretty well. They've been able to limit Virginia's offense to only a run.
Well, and Trey King started off, and young Aaron Gates came in and really did an outstanding job, hit his spots, kept Virginia off balance. You see that down and away fastball. That was just absolutely outstanding. Now they get a chance to turn it over to P.J. Green, see if he can finish it up.
Strikeout numbers, 8 total for Georgia pitchers. King with 4, Gates with 4 as well. And now it's P.J. Green's turn, third pitcher of the game for Georgia. And they're 3 outs away from advancing on to round 2.
Just to put the strikeouts in perspective, if you get 9 strikeouts in the ball game, that's 3 innings. Half of your Little League ball game, you don't have to play defense. It's your pitcher and your catcher. So, that you talk about, whenever you're putting pressure on the other team, if you're punching out a bunch, you're not putting that pressure on that other team. And, again, it's just almost like it's, half your game off. Your team doesn't have to play D.
That's a great point. So, Virginia will send Nick Castrilli to the plate here in the 6th. Castrilli had a big double last time he was up. He'll put this one in play. Tough one to handle. And Castrilli once again hustling it out. And call this an error. It's going to be on the shortstop, Bryce Aylwine.
Yeah, Aylwine, really almost a do or die. Once the ball starts hopping, you got to come up. If you field it cleanly, he's out. If you don't, you get the E put on you. But that's something. It's a tough play. But again, a play you like to think that your shortstop's going to make most of the time. If you sit back on that play, he's going to be safe at first base. So it's a tough error. But again, I think it's a probably pretty good call.
This one hit to the left side foul. And going to be awarded now, first base. Nate DeWitt heads to first. Castrilli over to second. May have had some interference on that play, looked like.
Yeah, I think that's catcher's interference. Our home plate umpire, Jason Sally, take a look at this, and you watch that bat, and it hits that glove first. It's a bad feeling when you're a catcher. There's nothing you can do about that, and that's one of those things that sometimes you reach out just a little bit too far, or you get a little bit too close to the hitter, or the guy swings too late. That's always what I claim. And the guy, it was not supposed to hit my glove. He swung too late.
Let me ask you this: some of the great hitters that you would be in the box with, Mike, back in your day. Was there ever any chatter when the guys came up? Ever any gamesmanship, or was it all respect?
Well, it was something that depended on the guy, but never once the pitcher got in motion. Whatever's going to happen, it happened beforehand. I was a friendly guy. I like to talk to everybody. So, if I could, let them talk about, their dogs or their hunting or, any of the fishing spots they knew. Well, I knew that they weren't thinking about what they were supposed to be doing. But then there's a couple of guys that knew what I was trying to do, and they wouldn't talk to me. And they were antisocial.
Bennett Zappel singled his last time up, so second at-bat for him off the bench. And he'll take a strike, 2-1. So Virginia hoping for a late rally here. Good start to it. Couple runners on here in the 6th. And what could be their final at bat. Now 2-2. And struck him out. That's a big out. P.J. Green went with the fastball, and Zappel couldn't catch up to it.
Yeah, P.J. Green with good heater, also throws a cutter and a curveball, and I got to believe that one was, the little cut fastball took a little something off of it, broke a little bit away from the right-hander, but it was again, location was fabulous on that.
Now Garrett Quimby steps up for Virginia. And it looks like we have perhaps a substitution here. Georgia coaches have come over to talk to our home plate umpire.
And Coach Jeff White in there does a lot of the administrative stuff for him. He's coached here at this level at this tournament a couple years ago. His young son Jeff White Sean White. Excuse me on that. A little catcher, for this team, and it's nice to see Coach White back and enjoying it with his son Sully.
Fouled away. Yeah, Father Jeff, son Sean, and keep in mind Sully White playing in this game. But as you said earlier, Mike, he comes in, meets us yesterday, and immediately after shaking hands, pulls up video 2 years ago of his son Sean smacking a home run in his first at bat. We remember that.
That was great to see because, that was one of the things that, as a fan of the game, it was unbridled joy. And to see this young man go deep, he hit first base. The fist pumping. I mean, everything. It was just such honest excitement. It was great to watch. I mean, it was fabulous for the young man. But I tell you one thing, as a fan, I was jacked up. I really loved it.
Remember that team, Big Cat, another player for Georgia that year. Ball goes to the backstop. Raiders move up, 2nd and 3rd now with 1 out.
Take a look at Simon Lewis. It's awful tough to get in front of that pitch, whenever it's a fastball. If it's a breaking ball, I say, anytime that you put down a sign that's a curveball, changeup, you got to be ready for that ball in the dirt. Real tough on the
hit to right field. It's going to drop for a base hit. Virginia's going to get one. That ball kind of gets away. Throw to second base now. He's safe. And Virginia's going to get another. So 2 runs come off. Sort of a bizarre play, and Virginia's cut into this Georgia lead.
Now a situation where balls hit to right field. As a coach, I'd rather have my right fielder just throw the ball into second base, but what happens, he throws it all the way in. Our first baseman wasn't there in the cutoff position. If he's there, then he cuts it off and it stops everything. But as a coach, what I'm thinking is, I want to keep that runner at first base.
Now, Mike, as we see a visit to the mound here for Georgia, keep in mind, if you are Georgia, you've got 1 out. You got to get 2 more outs to get this victory. Look to the left side of the ballpark, and you see the clouds sort of moving in. Georgia wants to finish off this contest before that weather comes in, if it does come in at all here today.
Yeah, and 2 things. Number 1, you want to win the ball game. And number 2 is, if you've got your pitcher, you want to keep him under 20 pitches so he's eligible for tomorrow. So that's one of the things that's, I'm sure it's gone through Ryan Danbury's mind is, how long am I going to keep P.J. Green in there? Am I going to let him stay out there to finish the game? Or am I going to try to get somebody else in to make all of my pitchers eligible? And that's one of the tough things. They came in a little shorthanded. Now it's a 6-run game, but, hey, you've got to win the ball game.
Drew Norton and Virginia not going to make this easy. Norton stands in, and now 2-0. Things getting a little interesting here in the final inning. A strike delivered there, 2 balls, 1 strike. Norton fouls this one away. It'll be 2-2. This will be the 17th pitch for P.J. Green. Virginia team fighting until the final out. And there's a strike. That is a huge pitch. And sort of froze Norton for the second out.
Well, it ended up being that cut fastball that actually started at the right-handed hitter, came back over the plate. As a hitter, you read it, it's coming at you, you go to get out of the way, and before you know it, the ball's cutting back over home plate.
So Virginia now down to their final out. This is Kyle Piltz, the center fielder. Piltz watches a strike. An impressive performance by Georgia, trying to finish it off here in this first day of action from Warner Robins. The 1-1 is high. Georgia trying to secure a date with Tennessee. Virginia trying to stay out of that loser's bracket. Here's a big swing, and it'll be 2-2 now. Virginia down to their final strike.
And this right here could be P.J. Green's last hitter. He's able to, get through the pitch count. Started it less than 20 pitches. If he gets out of this, he'll be eligible for tomorrow.
Struck him out. What a pitch by P.J. Green as Georgia fans on their feet here in Warner Robins. So Peachtree National Little League starts fast. Get a little threat from Virginia in the waning moments, but P.J. Green comes through and they get a 9-3 victory.
Well, Peachtree did what they had to do. They were very patient at the plate. They took advantage of Virginia. They didn't play, or Virginia didn't play their best game. Too many walks. They committed 3 errors. They threw the ball around a little bit. I'm sure it's very uncharacteristic of their club, but they made it a little interesting at the end. Peachtree, really wasn't challenged, and it's a situation where they did use some pitching, but as this tournament goes on, I look at them and they're very dangerous. They get their number 1 pitchers back here in a day or two. They've got so much power. They got a lot of good things going for them. They're a really impressive-looking ball club.
Virginia out-hits Georgia 6-4, but didn't get the hits at the right times. Meanwhile, Georgia very opportunistic as they win by a final count of 9-3. So, Georgia moves on, as does Tennessee. Our next matchup, Florida takes on West Virginia at 4 p.m. Until then, for Mike LaValliere and our entire crew, I'm Drew Felios saying so long from Warner Robins.